Okay. In this lesson, we're going to look at adding algebraic fractions. So when we talk about an algebraic fraction, we're talking about something like this. So basically, it's a fraction, and what it has is it has algebra in it. So you can see, so for example, this one, we just want to add these two fractions together, and then we have something like this as well. So we just want to add these two fractions together as well. So first of all, if we just go back to like how do we just add normal fractions together? So if we think about something like this, so maybe pause the video and just give this one here a go and try and add it together. Okay, so in order to add these two fractions together, we have to change them so that they have the same denominator. So we have to look at the two denominators, so 4 and 5, and we have to see what's the lowest common multiple of these two guys. So we want to identify what is the lowest common multiple. So what we can do is we can get the multiples of 4. So the multiples of 4 are going to be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So these are the multiples of 4. And then what we want to look at are the multiples of 5. So for example, the multiples of this, so you have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, so they're the multiples of 5. And what we can see is the common multiple to both is 20. So 20 is the lowest common multiple for both of those denominators. So this here is what's called the lowest common multiple. So the lowest common multiple. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to look at, so we look at this, so we take this fraction, we want to change this fraction so that it's so the denominator is 20. So we look at this and we think, what do I have to multiply 4 by to change it to 20? So I have to multiply 4 by 5. Okay, so I'm just going to multiply it. So I can put it in brackets like this beside it, and that means 5 multiplied by 4. And then if I multiply the bottom by 5, I have to do the same to the top. I have to multiply it by 5 as well. Okay, so what I can do is I can multiply these out and I can change it so that this fraction has a denominator of 20. So we can multiply these out. So for example, we're going to have a new fraction underneath here. So we're going to have 5 multiplied by 3 is 15. And then 5 multiplied by 4 is 20. So 3 quarters is equivalent to 15 twentieths. So what we've done is we've just changed this fraction up here into a fraction that has 20 as the denominator. And then we want to change this other fraction. So again, we look at we want to change this so that the bottom number is in line with what we've identified as the lowest common multiple. So we have to change this bottom number to 20. So again, we have to think about what do I have to multiply 5 by to change it to 20. So again, I multiply it by 4. Okay, so 4 multiply. So when we put it in brackets like this, that means 4 multiplied by 5. Now, if I multiply the bottom of this fraction by 4, I have to do the same to the top part of the fraction. So I have to multiply it by 4 as well. So then what I can do is I can multiply this out and I can have a fraction that is in twentieths. So 4 multiplied by 5 will give me 20. And then 4 multiplied by 4, 4 and 4 is 8, 8 is 16. Okay. So that's the first part. So get the lowest common multiple and multiply the bottom number to change it to 20, and then whatever you multiply the top by the same number. So that's what we've done here. So we've multiplied top and bottom by 5. So again here we have to change the denominator so that it's 20, it's in line with the lowest common multiple. So we multiply the bottom by 4, and then we also have to multiply the top by 4, and we get 16 twentieths. So essentially what we're doing is we're changing them so that they have the same denominator. And now we can easily add these together. Because they have the same denominator, which is 20, we can easily add them together. When they're like this, 3 over 4 or 4 over 5, we can't add them together because they're different denominators. So we have to change them so that they have the same denominator. And that's why we have to identify the lowest common multiple between these two starting denominators that we have. So that's the first thing. So once we have changed them so that they're in the same denominator, we can just add the top parts and just keep. So like what we're saying is we have 15 20ths and we have 16 20ths. So when we add these together, so if I have 15 20ths and I have 16 20ths, I'm going to have 31 over 20, or 31 20ths. So it's going to be 31 over 20. So all I've done there is I've just added these two top parts together. And what you do is you don't need to add the bottom, you just keep it as 20ths. So that's 31 over 20. What we can do then is we can simplify this even more. So for example, 20 will go into 31 once, so it'll be 1, and there'll be 11 over, so it'll be 1 and 11 20ths. Okay, so basically what we've done is we've added these two fractions together. Now, so this is kind of stuff that we've covered already in relation to just adding fractions together, adding or subtracting fractions. We do the same process. So now what I want to do is we want to take this process here and we want to just apply it to algebra. So if we look at this first question, so the first thing we want to do is we want to add these two fractions together. And we follow the same process. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get the lowest common multiple for the two denominators here. Okay, so the lowest common multiple. So we can write this down here. So lowest common multiple for 4, which is this number, and for 6, which is this number. So the multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. Okay, and it goes on and on and on. And then we want to get the multiples for 6, so it's 6, 12, 18, 18, 24, 30. Okay. And what we can see then is we just look at these multiples, the list of multiples, and we identify the lowest number that's common to both. So the lowest common multiple in this case is 12. So what I'm just going to take this fraction and just write it, just bring it down here. So I'm just going to rewrite it down here. So you have x over 4 plus x over 6. So now what I need to do is exactly what I've done up here. I need to identify, so we have to change, we want to have two equivalent fractions that have 12 as the denominator. So we have to think, what do I have to multiply 4 by to get it to change it to 12? So I'm going to have to, I have to multiply 4 by 3. So I multiply it by 3 in order to change it so the denominator is 12. If I multiply the bottom by 3, I have to multiply the top by 3 as well, like so. So then we can just multiply these out and get our new fraction that has the denominator of 12. So we can multiply these out. So 3 multiplied by 4 gives me 12. So I'm just putting the answer down here. So 3 by 4 gives me 12. And then 3 multiplied by x just leaves me with 3x, like so. Plus, so then I need to look at this 6, and I want to change it to the lowest common multiple, which is 12. So I have to think about what do I have to multiply 6 by in order to change it to 12. So I have to multiply it by 2. So if I multiply the bottom by 2, I have to multiply the top by 2 as well. So I just put it in brackets like so. So then we just multiply it out and we get our equivalent fraction. So we multiply 2 by 6, that's going to be equal to 12. So I'm just putting it down here. So 2 by 6 is 12. And then 2 by x leaves me with 2x. So now we notice that so we started off with x over 4 and x over 6. So we now have two equivalent, so for example, x over 4 is equivalent to 3x over 12. And x over 6 is equivalent to 2x over 12. And now we see that we have the same denominators here. So they have exactly the same denominators. So what we can do is we can just add these together. So this is going to be equal to, so all we do is we just add the top parts and we just keep the bottom number. So 3x plus 2x is going to be equal to 5x over 12. So that's 5x over 12. So what we've done is we've taken these two algebra fractions and we've added them together using exactly the same process that we follow when we're just adding normal fractions together. Okay, so that's that first one. So let's do the same. So again, so this one, it looks a little bit more complicated, but it's no more complicated than this. So again, we have to look at these two and we want to change them so that they're equivalent fractions. So we want to change it to an equivalent fraction, and we want both fractions to have the same denominator. So the first thing we do is we identify the lowest common multiples. So we want to get the lowest common multiples. So what are the lowest common multiples for 5 and for 3? So for 5 and for 3, so the multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So they're the multiples of 5. The multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Okay, so they're some of the multiples of 3. And we identify what's the lowest common multiple. So if we look at these numbers, the lowest multiple that's common to both is 15. We have 15 here like so. Okay, so that's the lowest common multiple for both of these denominators. So the next thing we want to do is we need to decide, what do I have to multiply the denominator in this fraction by to change it to 15? So we know that we have to multiply this denominator by, so we multiply it by 3. Okay, if we multiply the bottom part by 3, then we have to multiply the top part by 3, and we can do it like this. So we can just put this in brackets like so, and then just put the 3 on the outside. So this means 3 multiplied by each of these terms inside here. And again, it can be written like this, so that means 3 multiplied by 5. Okay, so these they mean the same thing. Then we look at this one here and we decide, so how do I change? So I need to change this number 3 to 15. So what do I have to multiply it by? I have to multiply it by 5. Like so. Okay, if I multiply the bottom by 5, I have to multiply the top by 5 as well. So again, I can just put this inside brackets and put my 5 outside here, like so. So that means 5 multiplied by this. So now what we need to do is we just multiply it out and we get our equivalent fraction. So remember, so this means, so it's going to be 3 multiplied by x and then 3 multiplied by 3. So you're multiplying these. And then here you're going to be 5 by that, and then also 5 by that. Okay, so let's look at that, and you're going to be multiplying 3 by 5, and then 5 by 3. Okay, so you're multiplying these. So let's multiply them out. So you have 3 multiplied by 5, that gives me 15. Okay, and then we want to do this part up here. So you have 3 multiplied by x, that gives me 3x. Okay, so 3x. 3 multiplied by plus 3, that gives me plus 9. Plus, okay, and then again you have 5 multiplied by 3, that gives me 15. So 5 multiplied by 3. And then the next thing I want to do is, so 5 multiplied by x, that gives me 5x. And then 5 multiplied by minus 1, that gives me minus 5. Okay, so what we've done is we've taken this fraction here, which is x over 3, x plus 3 over x plus 3 over 5, and we've changed it to an equivalent fraction, which is 3x plus 9 over 15. And we now have this fraction, it has the denominator 15. We've done the same with this one, so we've taken this fraction x minus 1 over 3, and we've changed it to an equivalent fraction, which is 5x minus 5 over 15. So now what we can do, okay, so because these have the same denominator now, we can just add the top parts together and retain the denominator. So what would that look like? So this is going to be equal to 3x plus 9 plus 5x minus 5 over 15. 15 like that, okay? So now what we can do is we can add up the like terms. So see the way, so 3x and 5x are like terms, so we can add them together. So that's going to be 3x plus 5x is going to be 8x. And then 9 minus 5 is equal to plus 4. So, okay, so we've taken plus 9 and we've minus 5, and that's equal to plus 4. We've taken 3x plus 5x, and that's equal to 8x. And then we're putting the two of these over 15, like so. So what we've done then is we've taken these two fractions here, so these two guys here, and we've added them together. And again, we're using the same principle that you use when you are just adding normal fractions together. So hopefully that makes sense, and that is adding algebra fractions together. So thank you for listening.